Hey guys, so the next thing we're going to make is our is a series of sort of letters, as it were. We're going to create a little isometric kind of 3D shape to some letters, and there's a cool way of doing this to where instead of it being kind of like 3D as if we're kind of rising up from something, rather that we're sort of like digging down to something, sort of unearthing something. So let's zoom in a bit here to where we can kind of see our grid, and we're going to see if we can't create these letters. I'm going to spell out the word ace. Now, as far as writing these letters go, you got to think in terms of the way, like the wind's blowing, as it were. In this case, we want to be going uphill. We kind of create like a single line for like the base of our lines here, and we want to create our letters by virtue of just sort of like, we're not going to go straight across, we're going to go at a bit of an angle here. So I'm going to get my fill off. I'll get my stroke up, maybe I'll make it red, and I'll keep it 1 point for now. And I'm just gonna see if I can't draw this little letter A here. The way I'm gonna draw letter A is I'm just gonna start off with just like kind of 1 point, as it were, just sort of one triangle across for my A here. Kind of like this. I might go a little higher so I can create the opening for the A, like so. And I'll create the opening right here. I'll just pull these together like this. And what we'll do is we'll just select both of these, and I'm going to go over here to Object, Path, and I'm going to let's think here. Well, instead of that, what I'll do is I'll just fill them both up. What I'll do is I'll fill them both up. I'll take my stroke off, and I'll fill them both up, say for instance with red. But then what I'll do is I'll get my shape builder tool, and I'll just go over here and I'll just pierce this through so I can have that little A there hanging out. And what I'll do is I'll actually change the gray for now. And I'm going to spell out the rest of my word here, and then we're going to go through. We're going to see if we can't make these sort of 3D here. So I'm going to sort of pop here, and I'm going to start making my C. So my C is going to be like this. I'll make it 3 across, just like I made the letter A here. I get my pen. I'll start here for the corner, as it were. And you just kind of got to think about where your letters are going to start and where they're going to end. You want to make sure they all line up, that they all kind of fit in a bit of a box. You're looking for that little intersect thing to pop up. We'll do the same thing with the letter E here. 3 across here, go up. The 3 allows us to, and I'll make the center horizontal line be a little bit shorter here. Now obviously this makes letters like K or G a little bit more difficult. That E there didn't quite match up. Okay, that's good. All right, so that's our letters going across here. Let's see if we can't add some depth to them. I'm going to pick some spot. Instead of going along the outside, I'm going to go on the inside to make it look a bit more, shall we say, like as if there are pits in the ground here. So I'm going to get my pen tool again, and I'm going to change my fill to, I'm going to take my fill out. I'll change my fill to maybe, let's see here. Let's click on this, and we'll click on this. Oops, get our move tool here. And let's get our fill, and with our pen tool selected, control click out of there, I'm going to draw a shape that goes from the center little, kind of area here. I'm going to draw a little shape here that goes down, and I'm going to make it a bit darker. Maybe 2 shades darker like that. And I'll do that to every side that's kind of going down here. I'm just gonna take my pen tool here, and I'll just go along this way like so. And we need to come down right about to here. Come back up. All right, and we'll do one more connect these up like so. And let me get my little direct select tool just to make sure I'm locked in like that. Right about there. Okay, looks good. And I'll do the same thing over here. I'll get my little pen tool. Make sure I've got my fill on the right setting. Now make one here, little parallelogram to fit into the C. And you can zoom in some to make sure you're really hitting the right angle here. And what we'll do is we'll just close this out, and we'll continue on making these little letters. Like so. You kind of get, you'll eventually get the sort of hang of how these shapes are supposed to go. Right about there. And one more. Oops. All right. Let me get in a little closer here and see if I can fix this E up some. My direct select tool, and I'll just grab this and pull this into the grid. Put that in there. And do the same thing for this shape here. That's good. Do the same thing here. Grab this shape, pull it in. All right, good stuff. All right, so there's our first little foray here. Let me take off the guide so you can see it a bit better. You can kind of see it looks as if we're kind of looking at these sort of like pits in the ground that have been dug out into the shape of the different letters. Now it's best to see if we can't get these to kind of be straight up and down. It helps keep the illusion working. So let me zoom in a little bit more here and see if I can't get some of these shapes to fit in some. I'll pop this one right over here. Make sure you get just the point selected. Right here too. And I'll get this point drawn up there as well. All right, looks good. Okay, and so now your next assignment, after you get ACE taken care of, see if you can't write your name, your first name or your last name, doesn't matter. I'll write out my last name, and I'll speed this up a bit so you can kind of just watch this, and if you get stuck, just let me know. But you can kind of see, I'll speed this up, and I'll tell you how we're gonna export this at the very end. So just gonna follow along here as I make these. Okay, so we've got our letters done. We can take away our grid there, and we can just kind of deselect everything here, and we can kind of see where we're at in terms of the scale, and we can kind of see that we're just so the further away you get, the more this should kind of like the more the effect should be visible. There's a certain bit of leeway when it comes to kind of being inaccurate with where you place your stuff, like as far as how straight it goes. But after a while, if you don't get it quite straight enough, then the illusion sort of breaks down. So let's go ahead and just kind of resize this to make this as big as we can get it inside our artboard. I'll just kind of pull this up. And I'll just group this together. Just Control G, group it together, and we'll center it into the artboard here. Let's go to our window, align, and we'll align it in the center both ways. And you can kind of see what we're looking at here. So I want to say there's a couple things off here. That's fine. All right. So this essentially is what your project is. Just and when we get rid of this, what we'll do is we'll go to File. We'll go to Export As, and we'll just export it as a PNG this time. And you can call it Isometric Letters, and press Export there. So say I'm here in Photoshop, and I've got this little drawing that I did. Maybe what I can do is I can just place that little PNG. There we go. Place that. And I can just place this down here, and I can even like maybe even make it an overlay. And I can have that be an effect on any little art piece that I have, based on whatever color it's on. So it's a fun little thing that you can put on. Now, obviously, doing something. Hello, what's going on here? Now, obviously, it's one of those things that when you have something that's sort of in flat style and you have something isometric on top of it, doesn't always add up. It doesn't always add up, but let's see, multiply looks better. But it's a fun little thing that you can add on to things. You can be your watermark, it can be whatever you want. So very cool. So go ahead, just turn in the letters as a PNG, and this is a fun little example of what you can do when you have both Photoshop and Adobe Illustrator. All right, well, can't wait to see you in class.